Oxford Read and Imagine. Level 4. Lost in the Desert by Paul Shipton. Read by Nigel Pilkington. Published and copyright Oxford University Press, 2015.
Meet the characters.
Hello, my name is Rosie. This is my brother. Hi, I'm Ben. This is Grandpa. And here's Grandpa's fantastic van. It can go anywhere.
Ben, Rosie's brother. Rosie, Ben's sister. Grandpa, Ben and Rosie's grandfather. Clunk, Grandpa's robot. Max, Ben's friend. Sammer, a man who works in the desert. Now let's read this story, Lost in the Desert. Chapter 1. It was raining hard outside, but Ben, Rosie, and Max were happy. Grandpa was taking them away for the weekend.
Please, can we go to a place that's dry and sunny?
Asked Max.
Yes,
agreed Rosie.
And somewhere with sand, please. Dry and sunny, said Clunk. With sand? No problem.
Clunk started the van. The robot typed some numbers into the computer, and suddenly the van was in a new place. But where? I can't see, said Clunk. There was sand everywhere. They couldn't see the ground or the sky. There was just sand all around them. Strong winds hit the van and turned it around in the air. It's a storm, shouted Ben. A sandstorm! Suddenly, the van hit something and stopped. What's happened? Asked Max. We aren't moving. The computer screen was black. I need to look at the engine, said Grandpa. But I can't do that until the storm ends. They sat and listened to the wind. When the sandstorm finished, Grandpa tried to open his door. It didn't move. I can't open the door, said Grandpa. There's too much sand outside. At last, they got out of the van and looked around. Wow! We're in a desert, said Max. A big, empty desert. Rosie smiled. I wanted sand, but not this much. Grandpa was looking at the front of the van. We can't go until the van's out of this sand, he said. Can you pull it out, Clunk? He asked. What? Said the robot. His eyes moved around and around.
Who's Clunk?
Chapter 2. Clunk did not get better. As the sun moved slowly across the blue sky, the day got hotter and hotter. But the little robot was going around and around in circles.
What's wrong with him?
Asked Ben.
Perhaps he's too hot,
said Grandpa.
Or there might be sand in his computer. I need my tools to find out, but they're at home. We must drink enough water, said Ben. That's very important in the desert.
After they found their water bottles, they all sat in the shade of the van.
What now?
Asked Rosie.
How can we go home?
Grandpa was thinking.
The van's radio is broken, and we can't use our cell phones here, he said. We need a different way to find help.
When evening came at last, the air wasn't as hot as before. Suddenly, Ben stood up. He pointed at something that was far away.
What's that?
The others looked too.
It's smoke, said Max. Maybe somebody's cooking dinner on a fire. We can walk there and ask for help. It's too late to leave now, said Grandpa. It's going to be dark soon, and that smoke is far away.
Grandpa smiled.
That gives me an idea. We had fireworks last week for the new year. There's still a rocket in the van.
He went to the van to look.
I have it,
he shouted happily.
Now, where are the matches?
Grandpa began to look in another box, but suddenly he pulled his hand out.
Ouch! That hurts!
A little animal jumped to the sand. A scorpion. Chapter 3.
Are you going to be okay, Grandpa?
Asked Rosie.
Scorpion stings are dangerous.
I'll be fine, Grandpa said. Rosie wasn't sure. Grandpa's face was red and he looked sick.
Try to sleep,
Rosie said. Ben and Max were still trying to find the matches.
They aren't here,
said Ben at last. The desert quickly became cold at night. They tried to sleep, but it was a long wait for the morning. Grandpa was still sleeping when the sun came up again. Ben stood up.
We must find the people who made that fire, he said. What else can we do? Clunk can't help us.
The robot was still going around in circles, but more and more slowly. Ben took his compass out of his pocket, and Rosie gave Max 2 water bottles.
"Please be careful," she said.
It wasn't easy to walk on the sand. The day wasn't very hot at first, but as the sun climbed higher, the day got hotter and hotter. Soon, the boys were very tired. Their legs hurt, their arms hurt, their bodies hurt, but they did not stop. Max drank some water.
"Don't drink too much," said Ben. "We'll need water later."
They walked for hours.
"Is this the right way?"
Max asked. Ben put his hand in his pocket.
"Oh no," he said. "I don't have the compass now."
He looked at the desert all around them. Without the compass, how could they find the way?
"What now?" Ben said. "Soon our water bottles are going to be empty."
But Max was smiling and pointing.
"Look," he said. "Camels!"
Chapter 4. My name is Summer, the man on the camel told them.
"Do you live here in the desert?"
Max asked. Summer smiled. No, I take people here on vacation. But tell me, why are you lost in the desert? Ben quickly explained about Grandpa, the van, and the scorpion. So, where is your van? Asked Summer. Ben looked around at the desert.
I don't know."
At the van, Rosie was getting more and more frightened. Grandpa was still sleeping, and Clunk wasn't moving.
"Where are Ben and Max?" Rosie thought.
She looked down at the rocket sadly. With no matches, it couldn't help them.
"Wait," thought Rosie. "Maybe I can use something else to start a fire."
She looked around for something to use. When she saw Grandpa's glasses in his shirt pocket, Rosie smiled. Perhaps she could use those. Minutes later, Rosie was holding the glasses over the paper at the bottom of the rocket. The light of the sun went through one lens of the glasses and hit the paper.
"Come on," Rosie said quietly. "Start a fire, please."
Nothing happened.
"Let me see those glasses," said a tired voice.
It was Grandpa. His eyes were open, and he looked a little better. Rosie gave him the glasses. Quickly, he pushed both lenses out and held them together. Then he and Rosie held the lenses over the rocket. There was a little smoke, then a small fire. The rocket flew into the sky.
"We did it!"
shouted Rosie. Chapter 5 "Look there!" shouted Sammer. "I can see fireworks in the sky." Max looked at the yellow and red lights and laughed. "That's Grandpa and Rosie's rocket." "We can go and help them now," said Ben. Ben started to walk to the truck, but Sammer stopped him. "The truck's too slow on soft sand," he said. "You must ride the camels with me. Come on." Grandpa and Rosie waited at the van. "Did somebody see our rocket?" asked Rosie. "I don't know," said Grandpa. The sun moved slowly across the sky. And then Rosie jumped up. "I can see something!" she shouted. "3 camels are coming!" As the camels came closer, she saw the people who were on them. "Ben and Max are riding them!" Grandpa stood up slowly. First, he thanked Sammer. Then he spoke to the 2 boys. "It was very dangerous to walk into the desert," he said. Then he smiled. "But you found Sammer and brought him to us. Well done." Sammer was looking at the van. "I have ropes in my bag," he said. "My camels can pull your van out of the sand easily." Sammer was right, and soon the van was ready to go again. "Now you must see a doctor," Sammer told Grandpa. "I will," said Grandpa. He looked at Clunk. The robot wasn't moving. "Then I'll fix Clunk," Grandpa said. "But how can you go home in this van?" asked Sammer. "Watch," said Rosie as they got into the van. Suddenly, there were lights everywhere. The van was leaving. "Goodbye, Sammer," shouted Ben. "And thank you."